7 countries in 5 years. www.stopiran. I said, if you want to worry about a state, it shouldn't be Iraq, it should be Iran.
September 12th, 2001, Washington, D.C., the smoke still rising from the Pentagon, and inside the corridors of power, a decision was already being made. Not about who did it, but about who would pay. A plan was drawn up, classified, never officially acknowledged, but revealed years later by one man. General Wesley Clark, Supreme Allied Commander of NATO, 4-star General war hero. In 2007, he said this.
10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon, and one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, No. He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years.
But what is real is General Wesley Clark's testimony. In a March 2nd, 2007 interview on Democracy Now!, Clark said,
starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran. I said, "Is it classified?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Well, don't show it to me." And I saw him a year or so ago, and I said, "You remember that?" He said, "Sir, I didn't show you that memo. I didn't show it to you."
He added, "I was shown a memo. It came from the Office of the Secretary of Defense. It was real." Al-Qaeda was based in Afghanistan. The 9/11 hijackers were mostly from Saudi Arabia. Iraq, no link. Iran, no link. Libya, no link. So why them? Because this wasn't really about terrorism. It was about reshaping the Middle East, and at the center of that vision was a plan that had been years in the making. To understand why Iran was target number 7, you have to go back to 1996. That year, a group of American-Israeli strategists, including David Wurmser, Richard Perle, and Douglas Feith, wrote a report for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It was called A Clean Break, a New Strategy for Securing the Realm. The goal? To break Israel free from peace negotiations and instead remake the entire Middle East. Their first target? Saddam Hussein's Iraq. Why? Because as long as Saddam ruled Iraq, Israel had a powerful enemy on its border. Remove him, and the region could be restructured. The report said the residual heat from an American air campaign could be used to ignite a process of revolutionary change in the region. Sound familiar? Fast forward to 2000. A think tank called the Project for the New American Century, PNAC, led by Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, Paul Wolfowitz, publishes a report, Rebuilding America's Defenses. In it they write, the process of transformation, even if it brings revolutionary change, is likely to be a long one, absent some catastrophic and catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor. Then, on September 11th, 2001, that event happened, and within weeks, every key author of those reports was in power. Cheney, Rumsfeld, Wolfowitz, Feith, Perle, all in the White House or the Pentagon. The catastrophic event had arrived, and the plan, long dormant, was now active. So why was Iran the final target? Because Iran wasn't just another regime. It was the only regional power that could challenge both U.S. dominance and Israel's security at the same time. Let's break it down. First, the nuclear question. The U.S. claimed Iran wanted nuclear weapons, but in 2007, the National Intelligence Estimate, consensus of all 16 U.S. intelligence agencies, concluded Iran halted its nuclear weapons program in 2003. In 2011, the IAEA said Iran has no active nuclear weapons program. So why the obsession? Because capability is enough. Iran has the scientists, the centrifuges. the uranium. It could build a bomb in weeks, if it chose to. And that, to Washington, is unacceptable. Second, the proxy empire. Iran doesn't fight with its own army. It fights with others. Hezbollah in Lebanon, 150,000 rockets aimed at Israel. Shia militias in Iraq, trained and armed by Iran. Houthis in Yemen, attacking Red Sea shipping. This network, from Tehran to the Mediterranean, is called the Axis of Resistance, and it's Iran's greatest strategic asset. For Israel, it's an existential threat. For the U.S., it's a challenge to regional control. Third, energy and geography. Iran sits on the world's second-largest natural gas reserves and fourth-largest oil reserves. It controls the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's oil passes through. A hostile Iran? That's a strategic nightmare. A defeated Iran? That's total dominance. So the U.S. couldn't invade. Too costly, too dangerous, too many variables. But war? War never stopped. Instead, the U.S. launched a multi-front invisible war, one that continues to this day.
President Trump said tonight if peace doesn't come quickly, he will go after additional targets in the region, saying most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. He also praised the U.S. military as the only one in the world to be able to do what was done tonight. President Trump addressing his decision.
First, cyber war, Stuxnet, 2010. In 2010, Iranian engineers noticed something strange. Centrifuges at Natanz were self-destructing. The culprit? Stuxnet, a computer virus so advanced it could physically destroy machinery. Later revealed it was a joint U.S.-Israeli operation, Operation Olympic Games. It set Iran's nuclear program back by at least 2 years and proved a terrifying truth. You can bomb a country's infrastructure without ever launching a missile. Second, economic war, sanctions. In 2018, President Trump pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal. He reimposed crushing sanctions, targeting oil, banking, shipping, aviation. Result? Iran's oil exports dropped from 2.5 million to under 300,000 barrels per day. Inflation hit 50%. The rial lost 90% of its value. Medicine, food, basic goods became scarce. The goal? Not just to stop nukes, but to make the people rise up. But it didn't work. The regime held, and the people paid the price. Third, shadow war, assassinations. In January 2020, a U.S. drone strike in Baghdad killed Qasem Soleimani. Soleimani wasn't just a general, he was the architect of Iran's regional power. His death was not self-defense, it was preemptive assassination, authorized directly by President Trump. Iran responded with missile strikes, but war was avoided, because this isn't a war of armies. It's a war of escalation, containment, and attrition. Did the 7 Wars plan succeed? No, and yes, no, because Iran still stands. Its regime is intact. Its nuclear program is closer than ever. Its proxies are still active. But yes, because Iran is weaker, isolated, under constant pressure. Iraq? Occupied, then abandoned, now aligned with Iran. Libya? Destroyed. Lebanon? Collapsed. Somalia and Sudan? In chaos.
Lords, famine, pirates, all.
The U.S. didn't win, but it changed the board. And Iran? It's fighting for survival, not victory. The 2022 Masa Amini protests showed the regime's fragility, but also its brutality. And the U.S.? Still waiting, still sanctioning, still probing. Was there a 7 Wars plan? Maybe not on paper, but in intent, in action, in outcome. Yes, Iran was never the 7th target. It was the first in their minds, because as long as Iran resists, as long as it supports Hezbollah, as long as it enriches uranium, as long as it defies the U.S., the war will continue. Not with tanks, not with declarations, but with sanctions, viruses, assassinations, and silence. This is how empires fight now, not with battles, but with time, pressure, and isolation. And Iran? It's not winning, but it's not falling. Not yet. Subscribe for more stories the world doesn't want you to see. Comment: was the 7 Wars plan real? Should the U.S. ever invade Iran? Share this video before it's taken down, because the most dangerous wars are the ones no one declares.